Admiral Jake Morrison stood at the bridge window of New Horizon Station, watching Earth turn slowly below. The blue marble looked peaceful from this distance. No one could see the billions of people living their daily lives down there. Jake had been protecting this world for 20 years, but today felt different. Today felt dangerous. "Admiral, we're getting those readings again," said Captain Ryan Hughes from the communications desk. His voice was tight with worry. "The energy signatures are stronger now, much stronger." Jake turned from the window. The bridge was busy with officers moving between control stations. Red lights blinked on several screens. Everyone knew something big was coming, but nobody knew what. "How long until they reach us?" Jake asked. "At current speed, about 6 hours," replied Lieutenant Amy Foster from the sensor station. She was young but sharp. Jake trusted her readings more than the computers sometimes. Dr. Lisa Parker entered the bridge carrying a data pad. Her lab coat was wrinkled and her hair was messy. She had been working for 3 days straight, trying to understand the strange signals coming from the edge of their solar system. "Admiral, I need to show you something," Lisa said. Her hands shook slightly as she handed him the pad. "These aren't natural energy patterns. They're too organized, too purposeful." Jake looked at the data. Even without Lisa's expertise, he could see the patterns were artificial. Someone or something had made them. The readings showed massive objects moving through space toward Earth. "Aliens?" Jake asked quietly. "I think so." Lisa nodded. "And they're big, really big." The bridge went quiet. Everyone had heard stories about alien contact, seen movies about invasions, but this was real. This was happening right now. "Get me President Karen Williams on secure channel," Jake ordered. "And wake up everyone in the Defense Council. Tell them we have a situation." While Ryan worked on the communications, Jake stared at the data again. The alien ships were enormous, each one the size of a small city. There were dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Earth's entire space fleet looked tiny, compared to what was coming. "Admiral," called Kevin Brooks from the long-range scanner station. "I'm picking up more detail now. The objects are slowing down. They're taking formation at the outer edge of our system." "Formation?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. Military formation. They're positioning themselves like they're getting ready for something." Jake felt ice in his stomach. Military formations meant only one thing. These aliens weren't coming to say hello. They were coming to fight. The main screen flickered to life, showing President Williams in the White House Situation Room. She looked tired but alert. Behind her, Jake could see other officials gathering around a large table. "Admiral Morrison, what's the situation?" the president asked. "Madam President, we have confirmed alien contact. Multiple large vessels have entered our solar system and are taking what appears to be an attack formation." The president's face went pale. "How many ships?" "At least 200, possibly more. Each one is massive, bigger than anything we've ever built." "Weapons?" "Unknown, but we have to assume they're armed." Before the president could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed on every screen. "Lieutenant," Foster was frantically working at her station. "Admiral, they're transmitting something," Foster said. "It's coming through on multiple frequencies." "Put it through," Jake ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life. The voice that came through was cold and alien, but the words were in perfect English. "Primitive species of the third planet. I am Fleet Commander Zeftal of the Kethvar Galactic Empire. Your world has been selected for integration into our domain. You will surrender immediately and accept tributary status. Your military forces will stand down. Your leaders will present themselves for processing. Resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. You have 1 rotation of your planet to comply." The transmission cut off. The bridge was silent except for the humming of computers and the distant sound of air recyclers. Jake looked at the president on the screen. Her face was hard now, angry. Other officials behind her were talking quickly, some looking scared, others looking determined. "Admiral," the president said slowly, "patch me through to whoever just spoke." "Ma'am, are you sure?" "Do it." Ryan worked quickly at his station. After a few minutes, he nodded to Jake. "Channel open, Madam President. President. Williams stood up straight, looking directly into the camera. When she spoke, her voice was clear and strong. Fleet Commander Zeftal of the Kethvar Empire. This is President Karen Williams of Earth. I have a message for you and your empire. She paused, and Jake could see her taking a breath. You have 72 hours to leave our system. This is your only warning. If you are still here after that time, we will consider it an act of war. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not kneel. You have been warned. The channel closed. The bridge was completely quiet. Jake stared at the president, amazed by her courage but terrified by what would happen next. Admiral, the president said, activate all defense protocols. Wake up, everyone. Call in every favor we have and find me General Peter Collins. We're going to need him. The screen went dark. Jake turned to face his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders. You heard the president, Jake said. This is not a drill. Contact all Earth defense ships. Recall everyone from leave. Get me full system scans and prepare for battle stations. As the crew rushed to follow orders, Jake looked out the window at Earth again. The planet looked the same, still beautiful and peaceful, but he knew that in 72 hours, everything would change. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive species. They thought Earth would surrender without a fight. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Jake smiled grimly. Humanity had been preparing for this day longer than anyone knew. The aliens had given them an ultimatum, but they had no idea what they had just walked into. The real war was about to begin. Fleet Commander Zeftal stood in the center of his bioship's command chamber, his crystalline body reflecting the green light from the organic walls. The ship itself was alive, grown rather than built, its neural networks pulsing with alien thoughts. Around him, his officers worked at stations that looked more like giant flowers than control panels. Tactical Advisor Mordun, show me the intelligence on this planet, Zeftal commanded. Mordun approached, his crystal skin glowing, pale blue. In his hands, he carried a living data node that projected images into the air. The third planet shows all the signs of a fractured species, Commander. Multiple nations, different languages, constant conflicts among themselves. The images showed Earth's cities, armies, and weapons. To the aliens, everything looked primitive and weak. Their technology is basic, Mordun continued. Nuclear weapons, chemical rockets, simple electronics. They have barely reached their own moon. Their space presence is minimal. Zeftal's body flashed yellow with amusement. And yet their leader spoke to us with such confidence. How curious. Biological warfare specialist Krelnith moved closer, her red crystal form crackling with energy. Commander, I have studied 300 conquered species. This behavior is unusual. Most primitive races beg for mercy or try to negotiate. This one gives us warnings. Perhaps they are simply too stupid to understand the situation, Mordun suggested. We have 500 warships. They have a few dozen small vessels. The mathematics are simple. Zeftal walked to the observation deck where he could see the blue planet hanging in space. It looked so small and helpless. Begin standard intimidation protocols. Position the fleet in their atmosphere. Show them images of the worlds we have destroyed. Break their spirit before we break their bodies. Meanwhile, on Earth, something very different was happening. In a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Peter Collins was activating systems that had been sleeping for decades. The room was filled with screens showing locations across the globe. Operation Darkstar is now active, Peter announced to the room full of officers. All hidden installations are to begin Phase 1 protocols immediately. Colonel Matt Stevens looked up from his console. Sir, the lunar facilities are responding. All 12 deep space monitoring stations are online. Good. What about the Quantum Research Division? Dr. Sarah Mitchell stepped forward. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes were sharp and determined. General, my teams have been preparing for this moment for 30 years. The dimensional displacement systems are ready for deployment. Displacement systems? Asked Captain Tony Walker, who had just arrived from the submarine fleet. I thought those were still theoretical. Sarah smiled. That's what we wanted everyone to think. Tony, your boats aren't the only things that can disappear from sensors. Across the globe, things that looked like normal buildings, radio towers, and research stations were changing. Hidden panels slid open. Equipment that had been disguised as civilian technology began to power up. Satellites that everyone thought were for weather and communications started extending weapons arrays. In orbit, Admiral Jake Morrison was coordinating with ground control. "Admiral, we're receiving activation codes from installations I didn't even know existed," reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. "How many?" Jake asked. "Hundreds, sir. All over the world. And some of them are showing power readings that don't make sense." Jake opened a secure channel to Earth. "General Collins, what exactly have you been building down there?" Peter's voice came through clearly. "Jake, what do you know about the Shadow Protocol?" "Never heard of it." "Good. That means it worked. We've been preparing for this day since 1947. Every major technological advance, every space program, every research project has been part of a larger plan." On the main screen, Jake could see the alien ships beginning to move. They were taking positions around Earth, their bioships glowing with threatening energy. "General, they're starting their intimidation display," Jake reported. "Let them," Peter replied. "We need them to get closer." The alien fleet began broadcasting images to Earth. Pictures of destroyed cities, burning worlds, species kneeling in surrender. The transmissions went to every television, radio, and computer on the planet. But instead of panic, something else happened. Emergency broadcasts began appearing on every screen. President Williams spoke directly to the world. "Citizens of Earth, we are not afraid. We have been preparing. We are ready." In the alien command ship, Zeftal watched the human responses with growing confusion. Their population should be in panic. Where are the riots? Where are the surrender calls? "Commander," Krelnith said, "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from the planet's surface. Something is powering up down there." "Impossible. Our scans showed only primitive technology. The scans may have been wrong, Commander." Deep in space, Captain Lisa Garrett was making final preparations aboard the USS Nemesis. Her ship existed, in a state of quantum superposition, invisible to normal sensors. Around her, 11 other stealth ships were doing the same thing. "Captain, we're receiving the standby signal," reported her first officer. "All Phantom Fleet vessels are in position." Lisa looked at her crew. They had trained for this mission their entire careers, but no one had expected it to actually happen. "Remember, we stay hidden until the signal. Then we show these aliens what humans can really do." On Earth's surface, Lieutenant Colonel Amy Foster was coordinating with resistance cells in every major city. These weren't military units. They were ordinary people who had been secretly trained and equipped for decades. "All cells report ready," Amy announced to the command center. "Teachers, doctors, engineers, students, they all know their jobs." General Peter looked at the countdown timer on his screen. 48 hours remained. "Send the second message," he ordered. Around the galaxy, quantum communication networks carried Earth's message to every inhabited world. It was simple and direct. 48 hours remaining. In his bioship, Zeftal received the message with growing anger. How dare they continue this defiance? "Morden, prepare the planet cracker missiles. We will show them what happens to species that refuse to surrender." "Commander, perhaps we should study them more carefully first. Their behavior is unlike anything we have encountered." "No, we have conquered 300 worlds using the same methods. These primitives will break like all the others." But as Zeftal gave the order to prepare for attack, sensors throughout his fleet began detecting something impossible. Energy signatures were appearing all around Earth that matched no known technology. Power levels were rising to levels that should not exist on a primitive world. The humans had given them a warning. Now the Kethvar Empire was about to discover why they should have listened. 24 hours remained on the countdown when everything changed. General Peter Collins stood in the main command center, watching as screens across the room showed installations coming online worldwide. What had looked like ordinary buildings, radio towers, and research stations were transforming before his eyes. "All defense grids are active," reported Colonel Matt Stevens from his station. The aliens have no idea what they're looking at. Dr. Sarah Mitchell approached the general, carrying a tablet showing energy readings. Peter, the quantum displacement network is fully operational. We can begin phase 2 whenever you're ready. How long have we been planning this? Asked Captain Tony Walker, still trying to understand the scope of what he was seeing. Since 1947, Peter replied. When we first detected alien signals, a group of world leaders made a decision. We would prepare for the day when they found us. The story began decades ago when radio telescopes first picked up artificial signals from deep space. Secret meetings were held in underground bunkers. Scientists, military leaders, and politicians from every major nation worked together on something they called the Shadow Protocol. Every space program had hidden purposes. Every technological breakthrough was studied for military applications. The internet was designed not just for communication, but as a defense network. Satellites carried weapons alongside weather sensors. Research facilities built machines that officially didn't exist. Show me the current status, Peter ordered. Matt pulled up a global map covered in green dots. All concealed installations are online. The aliens are seeing massive power spikes, but they can't identify the sources. Because the sources are hidden in plain sight, Sarah added with a smile. In space, Admiral Jake Morrison was receiving reports that made no sense. Admiral, I'm reading energy signatures from locations that show up as empty space on our maps, Lieutenant Amy Foster reported. Empty space doesn't generate energy, Jake replied. That's what I thought too, but there are 12 distinct signatures, each one the size of a battleship. Jake realized what she was describing. The Phantom Fleet. I thought that was just a rumor. Captain Lisa Garrett's voice came through on a secure channel. Not a rumor, Admiral. USS Nemesis reporting ready for combat operations. Lisa? Where are you? About 50 meters off your port side. You just can't see us. Jake looked out the window and saw nothing but empty space. Quantum stealth? Among other things. We've been developing technologies the aliens have never encountered. Technologies they can't detect or counter. The alien fleet was becoming increasingly agitated. Fleet Commander Zeftal stood in his command center, watching readouts that made no sense. Explain these readings, he demanded from his tactical advisor. Morden's crystal body flickered with confusion. Commander, we are detecting massive energy buildups across the planet's surface, but our visual scans show only primitive structures. Hidden weapons? Possibly, but the power levels are far beyond what a primitive species should possess. Krelneth joined them, her red crystal form pulsing with worry. Commander, I'm also detecting something else. The quantum foam around this system is being manipulated. That's impossible. Quantum manipulation requires technology we have only theorized about, yet the readings are clear. On Earth, Dr. Rachel Torres was overseeing the final preparations in her laboratory beneath the Swiss mountains. For 30 years, she had been working on weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Now those weapons were ready to be used. All quantum displacement arrays are charged and ready, she reported to the command center. The aliens won't know what hit them. What exactly will hit them? Asked Colonel Matt Stevens. Weapons that exist in 11 dimensions at once. They can strike targets that are light years away or phase through any known defense system. Meanwhile, Director Helen Carter was coordinating operations from a facility that officially didn't exist. She had spent her entire career managing the Shadow Protocol, keeping humanity's true capabilities hidden from the world. All teams report ready, she announced. Operation Dark Star is proceeding on schedule. Ma'am, the alien fleet is moving into attack position, reported one of her analysts. Good. The closer they get, the easier this becomes. Captain Kevin Brooks was monitoring alien communications from the lunar base when he detected something alarming. Command, the aliens are preparing their planet-killer weapons. They're not planning to conquer Earth anymore. They want to destroy it completely. General Peter received the report with grim satisfaction. They're afraid. They can sense our power, but they don't understand it. Fear makes species dangerous. Should we abort? Asked Dr. Sarah Mitchell. No. This is exactly what we prepared for. The alien bioships began extending massive organic cannons, weapons designed to crack planets in half. These were the same weapons that had destroyed the homeworlds of dozens of species. "Planet crackers armed and ready," reported Morden. Fleet Commander Zeftal looked at the blue world below. Something about this situation felt wrong, but he couldn't identify what. "If we cannot conquer them, we will make an example of them. Fire all weapons." The organic missiles launched from the alien ships, each one carrying enough destructive force to shatter continents. They had never failed before. They had broken the will of every species the Kethvar Empire had encountered. But as the missiles approached Earth's atmosphere, something impossible happened. They simply stopped existing. The planet crackers didn't explode or crash. They didn't bounce off shields or get intercepted by other weapons. They ceased to exist as if reality itself had rejected them. "What happened?" Zeftal demanded. "Unknown, Commander. The weapons just disappeared." On Earth, Dr. Rachel Torres smiled as her quantum displacement arrays did exactly what they were designed to do. Threat eliminated. The weapons have been removed from this dimension entirely. "Removed?" asked General Peter. "Erased from existence. They never were, so they can never be again." In orbit, Admiral Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet's confusion with satisfaction. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Begin Phase 3. Across the solar system, 12 stealth ships began appearing on alien sensors. But they weren't appearing in space around the alien fleet. They were appearing inside the alien ships themselves. Captain Lisa Garrett's USS Nemesis materialized directly in the center of Fleet Commander Zeftal's bioship command center. The crystalline alien stared in shock as human soldiers in advanced armor stepped out of dimensional portals. "Surrender your vessel," Lisa announced calmly. "This is your final warning." Similar scenes were playing out throughout the alien fleet. Human ships were appearing inside alien vessels. Human soldiers were stepping through walls, and alien crews were finding themselves facing weapons they had never imagined. The Kethvar Empire had conquered 300 worlds using the same tactics: overwhelming force, intimidation, and superior technology. But they had never faced a species that had spent decades preparing for exactly this moment. They had given humanity 72 hours to surrender. Now, with 24 hours remaining, the aliens were beginning to understand that they were not the hunters in this situation. They were the prey. Fleet Commander Zeftal stared at the humans who had appeared in his command center like ghosts. Captain Lisa Garrett stood calmly in the middle of his bioship, her soldiers pointing strange weapons at his crew. This was impossible. No species had ever boarded a Kethvar vessel during combat. "How did you penetrate our shield?" Zeftal demanded, his crystal body flashing red with anger. "We didn't," Lisa replied simply. "We went around them. Your shields protect against attacks from your dimension. We came from several others." Lieutenant Susan Bell moved to the alien control systems, her scanner analyzing the bioship's neural networks. "Captain, I'm reading the ship's memory patterns. This vessel has destroyed 43 worlds." "Not anymore," Lisa said. She looked directly at Zeftal. "Commander, your ship is now under human control. Order your fleet to surrender." "Never. We are the Kethvar Empire. We do not surrender to primitives." "Primitives?" Lisa almost smiled. "Commander, you have no idea what you're dealing with." Throughout the alien fleet, similar scenes were playing out. Human boarding parties had appeared inside dozens of bioships. The crystalline aliens found themselves facing soldiers who moved through solid walls and carried weapons that seemed to bend reality itself. Colonel Nick Hayes led his strike team through the alien flagship's corridors. The bioship's living walls pulsed with panic as the humans moved deeper into the vessel. "All teams, report status," he called into his communicator. "Team 3 secured the engine room," came Major Kate Adams' voice. "These aliens have never seen dimensional warfare before. They don't know how to fight enemies who can attack from multiple realities at once." On Earth, General Peter Collins was watching the battle through quantum communication links. Every human soldier wore cameras that transmitted directly to the command center. "How are our people doing up there?" Better than expected, reported Dr. Sarah Mitchell. The aliens are completely unprepared for multi-dimensional combat. Their weapons can't even target our soldiers properly. What about their reinforcements? That's the interesting part. They don't seem to have any. This was the Kethvar Empire's greatest weakness. For centuries, they had relied on the same tactics: overwhelming force, intimidation, and superior numbers. They had never needed to develop new strategies because the old ones always worked. Now they were facing an enemy that fought in ways they couldn't understand. Captain Tony Walker's submarine USS Phantom had emerged inside the alien fleet's communications hub. His technical officer, Lieutenant Patricia Dean, was studying the alien technology with fascination. "Captain, their entire communication system is biological. It's like a giant brain made of crystalline organic matter. Can you control it?" "Better than that. I can make it think what we want it to think." Within minutes, false information was spreading through the alien fleet's neural networks. Ships were receiving contradictory orders. Some were told to retreat, others to attack, and some to surrender. The carefully organized fleet began to fall apart as confusion spread through their living communication system. Fleet Commander Zeftal could feel his fleet's panic through his neural link. Ships were going silent. Others were reporting impossible attacks from enemies that couldn't be seen or targeted. His perfect formation was collapsing. "Tactical Advisor Morden, what is our status?" he demanded. Morden's crystal body was flickering between colors rapidly, a sign of extreme stress. "Commander, we have lost contact with 70% of our ships. Those still responding report being boarded by forces that appear and disappear at will." "What about our stellar destabilizer?" "Still functional, Commander, but if we use it, we destroy ourselves along with this system." Zeftal considered this. The stellar destabilizer was their ultimate weapon, capable of making a star go supernova. It would destroy everything in the system, including his own fleet, but it would also ensure that these dangerous humans could never threaten the Empire. "Prepare the weapon," he ordered. "Commander, that is suicide. Better to die than to return to the Empire in defeat." On Earth, Dr. Andrew Mitchell was monitoring the alien communications from his quantum research facility. His team had spent years learning to decode alien languages, and now they were listening to everything the Kethvar were saying. "General Collins, we have a problem," Andrew reported. "The aliens are preparing to destroy our sun." Peter felt ice in his stomach. "Are you certain?" "Yes. They'd rather kill themselves and us than admit defeat." "How long do we have?" "Maybe 10 minutes before they activate the weapon." This was the scenario that had kept human planners awake for decades. What if the aliens decided to destroy Earth rather than retreat? All of humanity's preparations would mean nothing if their sun exploded. "Activate Gaia," Peter ordered. Around the world, the most advanced artificial intelligence ever created came online. Gaia was not just a computer program. It was a distributed consciousness that existed across Earth's entire communication network. Every satellite, every computer, every electronic device became part of its mind. "Gaia online," came a voice that seemed to speak from everywhere at once. "Analyzing alien fleet. Calculating response options." In less than 3 seconds, Gaia had examined every piece of data about the alien technology, studied every tactical option, and developed a solution. "General Collins, I have a plan, but it will require revealing humanity's true capabilities to the entire galaxy." "What do you mean?" "I can stop their stellar weapon, but every species in this region of space will know that Earth possesses technology far beyond what anyone suspected." Peter looked around the command center. His officers were watching him, waiting for the decision that would determine humanity's future. "Do it," he ordered. Gaia's response was immediate. Across the solar system, hidden installations that had never been used before came online. Quantum field generators that existed in 17 dimensions simultaneously began creating a protective barrier around Earth's sun. But that wasn't all. The field began expanding, reaching out through space toward the alien fleet. It wasn't just a shield. It was a weapon that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. Fleet Commander Zeftal watched in horror as the stellar destabilizer began charging in reverse. Instead of making the sun explode, the weapon was being turned back on his own fleet. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No species has ever developed technology this advanced." Captain Lisa Garrett, still standing in his command center, looked at him with something that might have been pity. "Commander, you made the same mistake that every bully makes. You assumed that being quiet meant being weak." Through the bioship's transparent walls, Zeftal could see the quantum field approaching his fleet. It moved like liquid light, beautiful and terrifying. Any ship it touched simply stopped working, its crew unharmed but its weapons completely disabled. "Surrender now," Lisa said calmly, "and your people live. Continue fighting, and learn why humans gave you a warning instead of simply destroying you immediately." For the first time in his long military career, Fleet Commander Zeftal of the mighty Kethvar Empire realized he was completely, utterly defeated. Fleet Commander Zeftal watched the quantum field engulf his flagship. The bioship's living walls went dark as all weapons systems shut down. Around him, his officers stood frozen as their crystalline bodies lost their glow. They were alive but powerless. "How?" Zeftal asked Captain Lisa Garrett, who remained calm in the center of his disabled command center. "You want the truth?" Lisa replied. "Humans have been waiting for someone like you for almost a century. We knew that eventually, a galactic empire would find us, so we prepared." Through the ship's transparent walls, Zeftal could see his entire fleet going dark. 500 bioships, the pride of the Kethvar Empire, reduced to floating metal in minutes. No weapons fired. No explosions. They simply stopped working. On Earth, Dr. Maria Santos was coordinating the final phase of the Phoenix Project from a facility buried deep beneath Antarctica. For 30 years, she had worked on humanity's ultimate contingency plan. Now it was time to use it. "General Collins, the stellar manipulation array is ready," Maria reported. "We can demonstrate our capabilities to the entire galaxy." "Are you certain about this?" Peter asked. "Once we show them what we can do, there's no going back." "Sir, 17 more alien fleets are already moving toward Earth. Word is spreading that the Kethvar Empire found something interesting here. If we don't make a statement now, we'll be fighting this same battle over and over." Peter looked at the tactical display. Gaia had been monitoring quantum communications across the galaxy. Dozens of species were watching the battle through their own sensor networks. Some were allies of the Kethvar Empire. Others were enemies, looking for signs of weakness. All of them were learning that Earth was not what it appeared to be. "Do it," Peter ordered. The Phoenix Project activated systems that existed in hidden facilities across the solar system. On Mars, inside what looked like mining colonies. In the asteroid belt, disguised as research stations. Even on the moons of Jupiter, where humanity had been building in secret for decades. Commander Alex Stone, Earth's chief military strategist, coordinated the demonstration from the command center. "All stations report ready. Beginning galactic broadcast in 3, 2, 1. Across the galaxy, every species with quantum communication technology received the same message simultaneously. It wasn't words or pictures. It was a direct demonstration of power that reached across thousands of light years in an instant. Stars began to pulse in perfect synchronization, not just in Earth's solar system, but in star systems across the galaxy. The Phoenix Array was manipulating stellar physics on a scale that should have been impossible. Suns flickered like giant light bulbs, spelling out a message in a language that every intelligent species could understand. Earth was not defenseless. Earth was not primitive. Earth was something the galaxy had never seen before. Admiral Jake Morrison watched from New Horizons Station as the demonstration unfolded. "Gaia, how many species are receiving this signal?" "Currently monitoring 743 different civilizations," Gaia replied. "All are showing significant increases in neural activity patterns consistent with surprise and fear." "Good. Maybe now they'll think twice before pointing weapons at our planet." In the alien flagship, Zeftal's bioship was receiving surrender requests from his own officers. The crew had felt the demonstration through their neural links. Stars dancing across the galaxy at humanity's command. Technology that could manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. "Commander," Mordoon said quietly, "I recommend immediate surrender. This species is far beyond our capabilities." "How can primitives possess such power?" Zeftal asked. Captain Lisa Garrett answered him, "Because we're not primitives. We're a species that learned to hide our true nature until the moment we needed to reveal it." She gestured toward the transparent wall where Earth hung in space, blue and beautiful. "Every major war in our history taught us something new about combat. Every scientific discovery was studied for defensive applications. Every time we reached for the stars, we were also preparing for the day when the stars would reach back." Zeftal's defeat was complete, but the real victory was happening. Across the galaxy, on distant worlds, alien governments were receiving reports that changed everything they thought they knew about the universe. Captain Linda Gray led the cleanup operation as the surviving Kethvar ships requested permission to retreat. Her fleet, of human vessels no longer hidden, moved through space with casual authority. The aliens who had come to conquer Earth were now begging for safe passage home. "Admiral Morrison, we're receiving communications from multiple alien government," reported Lieutenant Amy Foster. "They're all requesting diplomatic contact." "What kind of contact?" Jake asked. "Surrender terms, mostly. 3 species want to ally with us immediately. 2 others are offering tribute if we promise not to attack their worlds." Dr. Lisa Parker, who had first detected the alien signals days ago, was now preparing for humanity's entry into galactic politics. "Admiral, I'm detecting 17 different fleets that were heading toward Earth. They've all changed course, they're retreating." On Earth, President Karen Williams addressed the world once more, but this time her speech was being broadcast across the galaxy through quantum networks that had been secret until now. "To all species listening," she said, "humanity does not seek conquest. We do not desire empire. But we will defend ourselves with whatever force is necessary." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "We gave the Kethvar Empire one warning. They chose not to listen. Let their fate be a lesson to anyone else who mistakes our desire for peace as a sign of weakness." The broadcast ended, but its effects rippled across the galaxy for days. Species that had never heard of Earth suddenly knew its name. Governments that had planned expansion toward the solar system reconsidered their strategies. The galactic balance of power had shifted in a matter of hours. Fleet Commander Zeftal was allowed to return to his empire with a message. The few ships that survived carried word of Earth's power to every corner of Kethvar space. Within weeks, the empire that had conquered 300 worlds was offering Earth a treaty of friendship. Commander Alex Stone updated the official first contact protocols based on what they had learned. The new standard message to any hostile alien force was simple and direct: "You have been warned." 6 months later, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of New Horizons Station, watching as the first official alien embassy ship approached Earth. It carried representatives from 12 different species, all seeking trade agreements and defense pacts. "Admiral," reported Captain Ryan Hughes, "the embassy ship is requesting permission to approach." "Granted," Jake replied. "And Captain, make sure they understand our docking procedures. We wouldn't want any misunderstandings." Earth had entered. The galactic community not as a conquered world or a primitive species, but as the power that every other civilization now feared and respected. Humanity had given the galaxy one warning. The galaxy had learned to listen.